Hello friends, welcome to the UPSC Prelims refresher course. Today we are going to cover Polity session and this is the first video in the series. So what is this refresher course is we are mainly going to focus on some of the quick bites, some of the repeating and important topics which keep occurring every year like DPSP, fundamental duties. Every uh, every other year you will be seeing these questions in the UPSC Prelims exam. Right? And also these are some of the focus areas, right, where you can actually put in less effort and high written topics, right? And we'll also focus on some of the confusing areas, right? So what are the confusing areas like money bill versus finance bill, Lok Sabha versus Rajya Sabha, right? So judiciary, emergency provisions, right? So these are some confusing areas or repeating topics which we want to focus in this session. So myself, I am Nitin. I'm an INIT and I am graduate. So I have appeared for 6 mains and have given one interview. Unfortunately, could not make it into the final list. Well, some of the reasons for my failure when I look back, right? One is, of course, the handwriting was not very great, right? When I compare myself for others. And optional, again, optional, you have to make sure you get very good marks. So I'd taken management initially. I was not getting very high marks. Then I switched to anthro, and of course I gave 3 attempts in each. Still, I could not get, very high scores in the optional. And of course, finally, I was also a working professional and was preparing even during the mains. Maybe that did not help me to get into the final list. Yeah, these are some of the, I think, the result sheets. Anyway, let's move on to today's sessions. And today we'll cover some of the key provisions. First is, I think, emergency provisions. Again, very, very important area for prelims and mains as well. So where it's taken from the Weimar Constitution of Germany, right? So national emergency, Article 352, 352, 356, then 360, right? All national, then state, and as well as financial emergency. I think you all should know. And this can be proclaimed due to war, external aggression, or armed rebellion, right? And it cannot be proclaimed on the ground of internal disturbance. Okay, so when was this change made? I hope you all of you know. So it is during the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, right? So earlier you could have raised emergency provisions due to internal disturbance, right? And this was changed during the 44th Amendment, right? So this is also very key important topic in prelims, has been asked multiple times, right? And for the proclamation of national emergency, right? So this requires approval of both the houses in a special majority, right? I think special majority, more than two-thirds of the members present and voting. Okay. However, for revocation, when you have to revoke, only the locals, Lok Sabha's approval with simple majority alone is sufficient, right? So you do not require Rajya Sabha's approval or you don't require a special majority. The other way you can revoke the emergency provision, president also can unilaterally revoke the proclamation of national emergency, right? Even without the parliament's approval. Hmm? Okay, so I hope these are some confusing areas. So now you can go back and see when the national emergency was revoked, right? How many times it was revoked? Yeah, during the India-Pakistan war, India-China war, 1965, 1970s, right? You can go and check that. So let's move on. So see, in this series, friends, we do not want to delve into the details. I hope you're already prepared. So this is just last minute help for your examination. So here we'll come to the Rajya Sabha areas. So Rajya Sabha chairperson, is he a member of Rajya Sabha or not? Right? I think by default it feels that Rajya Sabha chairperson is a member, but actually he is not a member of Rajya Sabha. Right? He is actually the vice president of India and he is elected right, separately, and he is not a member of the Rajya Sabha, I think. So now you can check what is the electoral college, right, for vice president election. You can go and check who are, or what is the difference between electoral college for president and vice president, right? Who, I think it's members of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So you can just check that. Okay, moving on. Deputy chairperson, is he a member of Rajya Sabha? Yes, deputy chairperson is elected among the members of Rajya Sabha, but vice president is elected separately. So joint sittings. When do joint sittings happen? So whenever there is a conflict arising when a particular ordinary bill is passed by one house, but it is blocked by the other house, so then the joint sittings have been called by the President of India. So whenever joint sittings are there, who presides it? So first speaker, if speaker is not present, deputy speaker. And if both are absent, then it is a deputy chairperson of Rajya Sabha who presides the session, right? So Rajya Sabha chairperson never actually presides a joint sitting. Okay, so there has been question on this, remember. So please make it very clear. I'm repeating it again. Whenever there's a joint sitting of both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, to pass an ordinary bill, so usually it's the speaker who presides, speaker of Lok Sabha, or the deputy speaker of Lok Sabha who presides, or the deputy chairperson of Rajya Sabha, right? It's, and not the chairperson. Okay, and there is one, I think, common question: what is the term of Rajya Sabha and term of a Rajya Sabha member? Right? I think the way UPSC frames those questions in the objective, so please be careful. The term of member of Rajya Sabha is 6 years. Okay, while that of chairperson, the vice president of India, right, his tenure is 5 years. But the term of Rajya Sabha as such is not 6 years, right? It's only the member's term is 6 years. So Rajya Sabha is actually it's infinite. So every 2 years, some of the members will retire and new members get elected from the states. Okay, does it? I hope this is helpful. Let's move on. Okay, so here Lok Sabha versus Rajya Sabha, right? On what situations does Lok Sabha have a primacy, right? Have more value weightage over Rajya Sabha? So this is both. I think some it will appear in prelims as well as in mains also. It's a potential question. So one is of course the money bill, right? So money bill it's introduced only in Lok Sabha, okay, and Rajya Sabha can only suggest amendments, changes, or any of the change amendments. That too within 14 days it has to give its amendments to the money bill. Okay, and a resolution for the discontinuation of national emergency. I think we just discussed earlier, right? If you want to revoke a national emergency, it can be passed only by the Lok Sabha by simple majority, right? Yeah. Next, adjournment motion and no confidence motion, right? Very two important motions which questions the government, and this can be passed only in Lok Sabha, right? Not in the Rajya Sabha. Not in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so now you can just go do a refresher on different types of motions, right? No confidence, adjournment motion. Okay, have it ready. Moving on, estimates committee. I think this committees, again, this type of questions keep repeating every other year, right? So estimates committee draws its members only from Lok Sabha, right? It does not have any members from the Rajya Sabha, and it has 30 members, right? And it is also the largest committee of the parliament. Okay, right. So there are also two other important committees, right? One is a committee on public sector undertakings, right? And there's also one more committee. Maybe I would request you to go and do a research on that, right? So these three committees are very important. And of lately, UPSC also has started asking questions on the departmental standing committees, right? There was also a question on mains. Sorry for my handwriting. departmental standing committees like business advisory committee, disciplinary committee, and all of them. There'll be some questions. I mean, you don't have to go to the details, but have a rough idea and estimate. Okay, fine. And okay, primacy of Lok Sabha. So in okay, this again I think we just discussed on the joint sitting. Here again, so Lok Sabha speaker or the in the absence of speaker, the deputy speaker presides over the joint sitting. Okay, not the vice president or the deputy chairperson. Okay, I hope this is helpful. On Lok Sabha and versus Rajya Sabha, so this money bill and financial bill, right? I think this again is a very, very important topic for UPSC. There'll be multiple questions on money bill, financial bill, and it's very, very confusing area even for people who have pretty well prepared. Okay, so money bill, Article 120, right? So its provision are related only to taxations, borrowings, expenditure, that is money matters only. So you can remember these three words: taxation, borrowing, and expenditure, that is money matters only. However, and financial bill, there are of course two types, type A and type B. Money provisions, right? The above plus other provisions also included, right? And financial bill type 2, expenditure from consolidated fund plus other provisions. Okay, can you see the difference? In type B, it is the expenditure from consolidated fund and other. Here it's money provisions plus other, right? So type A would involve even other funds also, like which is part plus other provisions, right? Which is also included. So just be clear on this three different areas. Okay, now most important, I think, pay attention to this particular point. See, money bill can be introduced only on the recommendation of the President of India. Okay, and in the Lok Sabha only by a minister. So any private member or any MP cannot introduce the bill, only by a minister in the Lok Sabha on recommendation of President. Okay, and Rajya Sabha can only suggest amendments, that too within 14 days. Okay, I hope right. And there is no scope for joint sitting for money bill. Okay, money bill, there can't be any joint sitting. Okay, and important, president cannot resend the bill to the house. Okay, he need not give consent to the bill. He did not sign the bill, but at the same time, he cannot resend the bill. Why? Why president cannot resend the bill? Because it is already introduced based on the recommendation of president, right? President has already recommended. Then why would he resend the bill, right? So that is the logic behind that. Okay, but however, he can use his veto power. He need not give his consent to the money bill. And yeah, so this is also, so the speaker of Lok Sabha, he usually ascertains whether the bill is a money bill or a financial bill, right? It's usually he takes the financial decision. So can you remember there was a big controversy due to this money bill certification, right? So, right, I hope you know the case of Aadhaar bill. Aadhaar bill, okay. So Aadhaar bill was introduced as a money bill. Okay, so when it's introduced as a money bill, it need not be passed by the Rajya Sabha, right? Rajya Sabha can only give recommendations, right? So that's what it created controversy bit during the a few years earlier. Okay, so let's move on. Financial bill type A. Okay, so this is the procedure for passing the bill. So just like money bill till introduction, right? While to introduce a financial bill, you need to take a recommendation. Right? To introduce, it's like a money bill. After introduction, it becomes an ordinary bill, right? Both Rajya Sabha has to pass it, and Rajya Sabha can also reject it, right? If Rajya Sabha rejects it, I think the bill is, I mean, dead, right? It cannot go further. Okay, but that's not the case with money bill, right? Our Rajya Sabha can only give amendments to the bill. And financial bill type B, right? Expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. So this is totally ordinary bill, just that president recommends it, right? Right, and it consideration of the bill by both the houses and it involves expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, see the difference in the how the bills are passed, right? And also check which, please go back and check which articles relates to the financial bill type A and type B. So this is also a very, very confusing topic and very important area for the preliminary examination. Okay, so this is a last topic for today's session, right? And slightly confusing on this interim budget and vote on account. See, the financial year for the country starts on April 1st, right? But usually the budget would have been placed under the parliament, but the bill may not have passed, right, by the time April 1st begins. So in order to for the expenditure required for to run the government and the various schemes and provisions, so an vote of account is passed by the parliament, which is usually for a period of 2 months, right? Right. So it's just for right. So here's the vote on account is a statement of only expenditure, right? Okay, while the interim budget is a complete set of accounts, it's a complete budget which includes both expenditure and receipts. This is only expenditure that is required, right, before the completion of the complete budget. An interim budget happens only during the uh, election areas, right? Like this, 2024, there's an election, therefore, there's an interim budget has been passed. So when the new government is formed, so they will again come back and pass the budget. Next, vote on account is passed every year while before the appropriation bill, right? Appropriation bill is placed by the finance minister, then there's a discussion on that. So, but before that complete vote and account is passed for the expenditure required. So he's passed interim budget. And yeah, as I said, interim budget is passed during the election year. So that is the difference. And just to clear, interim budget also contains the vote of accounts, right? Because interim budget has both expenditure and receipts, correct? So vote and accounts has only expenditure associated with this. Okay. Right, so I hope you like this video. So I'll continue to cover other important areas in polity. I hope you find this useful for the prelims examination. Yeah, thank you.